What's up, ballers? Football season is officially here for the Dolphins, who released their first depth chart after having two joint practices with the Atlanta Falcons. We didn't practice today because we had to get rest. We had a few players actually that had some nicks and bruises from the practice. And plus, we want to prepare for our first preseason game against the Falcons at 7 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow night at Hard Rock Stadium. And Jalen Waddle, he was one of them that got injured, but none of their injuries are serious enough for them, to be prevented from playing in preseason. We also got 31 or 32 more days before flying to the west side to take on the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday, September 10th at 4 o'clock, or actually 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll try my best to drop videos highlighting the cuts, additions, camp, and preseason battles for roster spots before the final 53. Speaking of cuts and additions, we cut punter Michael Turk and safety Bennett Williams, who was a camp body. I was rooting for Michael Turk because, like I said, he got somebody that played for us back in the days. So I wanted him, I was rooting for him, but he didn't make it. We also cut UDFA defensive tackle Anthony Montalvo, who signed along with D lineman Brandon Peely for competition, but Peely ended up beating him out, and that was pretty much his undoing. We filled those roster openings by signing cornerback Mark Gilbert, linebacker Mike Rose, and safety Miles Dorn. I had Mike Rose on my draft board in the 2021 draft, along with Channing Tindall, Nakobe Dean from Georgia, and Chad Muma. But we ended up choosing Tindall. He's been quiet. He hasn't made no noise last camp, and I haven't heard nothing from him this camp either. So, he's gonna have to tighten up, and I want to see how he does in this preseason game, and in all the preseason games. He played pretty good last preseason. He made some plays in the second and third preseason game, but he's gonna have to do that this preseason because you got David Long Jr., you got Aubrey Miller, you got other linebackers who we just acquired that could possibly take his spot. Aubrey Miller could be a better answer for us than Channing Tindall, depending on the competition and depending on who's winning right now. We're going to have to see, and I'm pretty sure the coaches want to see those guys settle all of that in these games. Gilbert, he's an interesting prospect because he comes to Miami with 8 regular season games of NFL experience with the Detroit Lions in 2021. He played that season after arriving as an undrafted free agent out of Duke. And former Jets cornerback Darrelle Revis is actually his cousin. So he's got great football pedigree and a great reference for how to play the position. And, he has a chance to showcase his talent with us. Revis was just inducted into the Hall of Fame with linebacker Zach Thomas, who finally got in. And I watched the Hall of Fame game, featuring the Browns versus the Jets. Not just seeing Zach Thomas, because I was definitely happy for that, but I actually watched the game as well. When I watched that game, I was watching for players on both teams that may get cut, who could be potential targets, for us. And I paid attention to the Jets' play selections and their executions as well. Even though, they say that they, when you play in the first preseason game, it's pretty much a vanilla offense. Yeah, that's true, but you can still kind of see tendencies in the team and what they're trying to do. You may not be able to get the exact formations that they're going to use against us when they play us, in their attack, but you could at least see how many times they chose to pass versus how many times they chose to run. So that's what I was looking for when I was watching the Jets play, and the Browns too, but the Jets especially because they're in our division. And DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson from UCLA, who I actually had on my draft board, he played with the third string roster. He shined, and I think our scouts should be hoping that he gets cut and he's available, because he could be a potential backup to Tua if Mike White and Skyler look sloppy in the preseason if he continues to make plays. Kellen Mond is who they have as the second string quarterback behind Deshaun Watson. And he, when I watched that game, his numbers did look decent, but his quarterback vision was terrible in that game. He threw probably one of the worst interceptions that I ever seen in that game, and really almost threw 2 dumb interceptions when you watch the game. but they have him as the number 2. I'm hoping they keep him as the number 2 and decide to, maybe not elevate Dorian Thompson-Robinson ahead of him. Maybe they put him on the scout team and maybe we can, pluck him from their scout team or something like that. Or hopefully he gets cut. Maybe they sleep on him and we can add him to our roster. Even if we add him as a third stringer here, with us, maybe behind Skylar Thompson or Mike White. If, I don't know. But if we give him a fair shot and he beats them out, I think he'll be a good backup to Tua. From the Jets, what I noticed was Bryce Huff. He was causing ruckus on their D-line. He sacked Kellen Mond, and he was in his face early. And on offense, you can see that the Jets, they definitely intend to push the ball deep down the field from 4-step drops. And you saw that in the first quarter with Zach Wilson throwing a deep bomb to former Packers wide receiver Malik Taylor. And we should expect to see them take shots to try to beat our corners when we play them. And I could tell Aaron he's definitely going to get money stretching the field, with them out and up patterns and them double moves, but we got better corners than most in the league, not just the AFC conference, in the entire league. We probably got 2 of the best. They're in the top 5, probably 1 or 2, 1A or 1B. As the top duo corners in the league. So I'm not worried about the out and ups, but I'm just saying Aaron Rodgers is going to have a field day going to Garrett Wilson on them out and ups and going to them Packers receivers in them 4 wide sets, which we're going to have to worry about that. Other than the game, and the highlights, like I said, I was happy to see Zach reach this milestone because it was well deserved. We as Dolphin fans, we've been pounding the table for him to get in, and he finally kicked that door down. Salute to Zach. He was a hell of a player for us. He kept that tradition of Dolphins stud middle linebackers, that we've had over the years, like Bonacani and Offerdall. He kept that tradition going, and now we just got to find another one, and I believe in Jerome Baker. But I want to see more physicality in his game, and I want to see more game-wrecking plays from him. He's had some. He's great in coverage because he got good speed, but I want to see him wreck games and be more of an enforcer in the run game and the pass game, and like I said, he's been good. Jerome has been good. I think there's another notch he can get to, I believe. I'll talk more about the battles at linebacker in another video, but in this video here, I want to talk about the current battles on the D-line and the future for that unit. We obviously got some decisions to make as far as locking down guys long-term at the defensive tackle and defensive end spots in that 3-4 alignment. And I believe that Chris Greer is looking to find some depth behind Chris Wilkins, Zach Sala, and Raekwon Davis, which is why he worked out defensive lineman Roderick Perry, Marvin Wilson, and Deshaun Hand. And Perry ended up signing with the Seattle Seahawks. We decided to go with Deshaun Hand, so we signed him. And I thought it was a good move because he's going to fit right in as far as chemistry goes. He was coached by Saban, played at Alabama, so I think he already got a relationship with Tua and Raekwon Davis already. I'm pretty sure he knows them. And he played out most of his rookie contract before being released in November of 2021. Then he signed with the Colts in December, but he was with the team for less than 2 weeks. In January of last year, he signed on the Titans practice squad and then spent all but 1 week on injured reserve. So we're taking a chance on him. We see the potential, and he does have some upside if he could just stay healthy. And if maybe Vic Fangio can and the coaching staff, on the D-line can, maximize his potential. Hand has played in 31 career games, only 5 over the past 2 seasons, which says a lot, and that's not good. Recording 54 total tackles, 6 for a loss, 3 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 2 tip passes. So, he can provide depth, and he could be a rotation player. I think him and maybe Raekwon Davis can take him under his wing. And I say that lightly because Raekwon Davis, in my opinion, has to show a little bit more himself. UDFA Brandon Peely like I said, he stood out, as far as the undrafted free agents we brought in to compete. He's the only one that really stood out, which is why the coaches have him penciled in as the second nose tackle behind Raekwon. And I watched his USC tape. He's got a real good first step in and out of that one technique alignment, and he showed at USC that he could, get upfield, disrupt both run and pass plays. And when you hear one technique, what they're referring to is, the nose being on the left or the right shoulder of the center. The left or the right shoulder of the center. Basically trying a gap on the left or the right side of that center. And, when they position them in these alignments, what they're basically trying to do is they're trying to have a gap advantage. They want to have a gap advantage, and that nose should be able to read where the run play is going, which gap is going, A, B, C, D, which one is going, which hole, which gap is going into, and being able to respond and react to that. And the attribute that I'm sure that Vic Fangio and his coaches probably noticed when they analyzed both Wilkins and Seiler from the ends on tape is that both of them are great at establishing dominance. They both are great at establishing dominance, and we just need to see more growth and consistency, like I said, from Raekwon. He can establish dominance as well, but he just got to do it on a consistent basis. I want to see Raekwon average 2 or 3 tackles for loss per game. And if Brandon Peely can continue to showcase in camp and shine in these preseason games, we might have a steal on our hands. He's got to show that he can set, square up, get skinny, and beat double teams, on the NFL level if he wants to really maybe surpass even Raekwon. Now, let's talk about how we might be viewing Wilkins' contract and his future with the team. I know, myself included, I rooted for him, and he's the first player that we drafted to kick off the new era for the Dolphins, and I'm sentimental to Wilkins just like we all are, because it's been a turnaround. The city is got high expectations for the team. The city's happy with the offense and the defense. All Miami Dolphins fans are excited about this team, and you got to credit Wilkins for being the first piece to this puzzle to making this team what it is. But I know he's the focus, but Seiler also has to be considered as a future long-term type player. Depending on the alignment, both can play either D-end, D-tackle, or nose tackle, which they both played in Flores' scheme. Based on the depth chart, they're going to be D-ends in Vic Fangio's attack, but, he's probably going to move them around too when he's trying to get multiple and disguise. Run a disguise 3-4, something like, or a storm 3-4. My question is, how much money are we going to allocate to Wilkins right now? Quinnen Williams, he got $96 million from the Jets. They locked him down with a 4-year deal, and he got an extension that includes $66 million guaranteed. He set that market for players at his position from his draft class, which Wilkins is in his draft class, and he set the benchmark for D tackles, nose tackles, who got the ability to block shed both left or right, and come off that edge and get to the quarterback. He set the market for that. And you look at his stats for his career, he has 58 games played, 191 total tackles, 118 solo, 73 assists, 27 and a half sacks, which is, that number right there is why he got that money he got. 27 and a half sacks, 4 forced fumble, 0 interceptions. Now, Christian Wilkins he is comparable. He has comparable numbers to him. Yes, he does. But he doesn't have as many sacks. That 27 and a half sacks, that's what got him the money. You look at Christian Wilkins, he's been durable for it. He's played 64 games. So he's played more games than Quinnen Williams. 290 total tackles, 166 solo, 124 assists. Now that 124 assist number, that's good, but it also opens up your mind to, okay, these tackles that he he got a lot of them that are assists. 11 and a half sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 1 interception. Quentin Williams doesn't have an interception in his stat sheet. So Christian Wilkins does. So Christian Wilkins has more total tackles. So that shows that he's better against the run. You could say that, and he is. Christian Wilkins is one of the top D tackles, one of the top D ends against the run in the league. That's another thing you got to factor in as to why he should really get maybe at least 80 million. You know what I'm saying? The 80 million, 85 million. With maybe 50 million up. As a signing bonus. Or he could say that he could get the same contract that Quentin Williams got. But when I look at Zach Seiler's stats, he's been a more consistent player. He's been more productive in a shorter amount of time, and I think he also needs to get paid. He's just as deserving of that kind of deal, in my opinion. Yes, he signed in 2018. He played longer than Wilkins, but he got no playing time in his first year with Baltimore. He got none in his first year with us. Once he was implemented into the defensive front by Coach Flores, he pretty much became a prime factor on this defense. And a lot of those assists from Christian Wilkins were probably assisting Zach Seiler on tackles that Zach Seiler was already going to make. And, in just 3 years, one less than Wilkins, he was more productive. For his career, he played 59 games, 192 total tackles, 110 solo, 82 assists, 10 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. So basically almost similar numbers to Christian Wilkins in a shorter period of time. Christian Wilkins doing it in 4 and Zach Seiler doing it in 3. If I'm Chris, I might look at both of them as splitting images, and I would try to make a deal with both of them and their agents at the same time. Maybe try to convince them to split $100 million on a 4-year deal, or maybe a 3-year deal. Something like maybe $30 million signing bonus, $10 million per season for each, something in that range, and see if they take it. If they do, then we'll be set at the 3-4 edge, and then we can focus on more competition at the nose. Twyman, I think he's going to need to show that he can stand out. And don't sleep on UDFA Randy Charlton, who also has an opportunity like Peely to make this team. But that's all I got for the defensive line, defensive tackle positions. We know that Phillips and also Agba, they both kind of play on the line as well on nickel packages, on different packages. They're going to be on the line as well. But in the 3-4 alignment is Zach Seiler and Christian Wilkins right now with Raekwon Davis. So we got to see how that plays out in preseason. See what Vic Fangio thinks. Is he just trying something out right now? Is he going to try out his new defense that he came out with these players? And he's just trying to see who's going to fit that best in preseason? That may be what he's trying to do. Maybe this first depth chart is just kind of a look and see for him. That final depth chart obviously is going to be the teller. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Till next time, signing off.